After a couple of gnarly scenarios, we get a palette cleanser with the encounter at Amon. Let's join Pandem on the two-player progression series, playing Lord of the Rings: The Living Card Game. Alright, let's go into 1A, the Savagery of the Orcs. Emerging from the Druiden Forest with news of the conspirators' demise, you begin the journey to Minas Tirith. As you awake the following day, you see a dark plumes of smoke rising across the lands of Anorian. So we set up Gullet aside, put Lord Alcaron in play, make Burning Farmhouse the active location, add rescue villagers and dead villagers to the objective staging area, then we'll shuffle the encounter deck and reveal one encounter card per player. Now, here's Gullet. He is 30 threat, 3x3, 7 Uruk Orc, with X the number of damage tokens on dead villagers. When he attacks, deal 1 damage, 1 token to the dead villagers. So he'll set aside for 2A. Lord Alcaron, our trusty advisor, 1, 2, 2, 3, Gondor Noble. First player takes control, and if a village token is discarded, we can exhaust Alcaron to push that villager to a location, which is nice. And if we lose, if he dies. Right, which I'll put the first player token down there so I don't forget. Rescued villagers is just an area where we'll put dice counters or counters on to increase when we rescue villagers, and decrease to dead villagers if they die. Right. So essentially, to win this game, at the end of the game when we finish questing, we need to have more alive villagers than dead villagers. Right, something about population growth and the rest of it, hey? Burning Farmhouse is research from your deck, so it's a 1 threat, 5 quest point location with 4 villagers, and at the end of the round we decrease it by 1. We want to quest hard, fast, and finish this, okay? This is a quick scenario. We'll do it fast. We'll have fun doing so. This is a good one to test the decks out on. It has got a community rating of I think the official difficulty rating of 5, yet the community puts it like 2.1. Because it is kind of straightforward. There are decks that can do this quest in 2 rounds. Right. So we draw up our 2 cards to start with. So we have 2 locations here. We have the Gondorian Hamlet, which is 3, and after a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, discard 1 village token from the hamlet, which is, there we go there. And you can see there it's a victory 1 as well, with 2 threat and 4 quest points. And then we have the Marauding Orc, 25 threat, 2 darkness, 4 attack, 1 defense, 4 health. And when it kills someone, it will place 1 damage on the dead villager. So if we destroy a character, it's going to do that for us. I'm going to use the yellow dice throughout this scenario to indicate where the villages are at. So we can see there, I'll be placing numbers on different scenarios there. So a bit more to keep track of. We're getting into it a bit more. We're seeing more mechanics being added in. I'll see how my brain keeps up with it all. Savagery of the Orcs. In the smouldering village near Amon, you find none other than the Lord. A big pause there. In the account of Amon, you find nothing more than the Lord Alcaron, Tide Lord Alcaron. He's pleased to see you. He requests your assistance in protecting the village. So village is 5. When progress will be placed on their moved tokens, essentially, once all 5 tokens are moved, we move to the next phase. I've brought my Outlands deck here to keep the Gondor theme alive. So we know this deck, Imrahil, Boromir, and Hurl the Fair. They've been supported by a cadre of dwarves. So I have Law Ori, 8/2/2/1 dwarf, and if we can with 3 health. And if we control 5 characters, we get to draw an additional card. Thorin Oakenshield, 12/3/3/1, 5 health, dwarf, noble, warrior. And if we control at least 5 dwarf characters, we get an additional resource at the start. And then Dane Ironfoot, 11/1/2/3, 5. When Dane is ready, dwarf characters, heroes and allies, get +1 attack and spirit. So it's a questing and attacking powerhouse as long as Dane is up. The goal for Dane is to be ready at all times where possible to help out. Alright, so let's get our threat at 31, and I think 30 started off nicely. Let's do this. I'm looking for cards in this deck here to help us get Outlands firing, and I'll give you a spoiler alert, Outlands doesn't fire this game, so you can see what a bad Outlands deck is like when you have got none of the cards you need when you're playing and drawing up cards. So I dropped my first hand. In hindsight, this was the better hand, but I didn't think so at the time. I wanted something to pay for things. Having just Hurlon can only pay for other resource spheres is tricky. And then see, look at that hand there. I don't know if I didn't shuffle well or what, but that's the deck there. And I just put this card into sleeves. It's nicely shuffled and freshly done from the books. I get a nice spread here. Calabrian Stone is nice for the +2. Darren's Runes for card draw. Legacy of Durin to play when I play a dwarf from my hand. I've got a few things there. Now I'm going to need a Navi's Belt to play the Erebor Erebor Battlemaster, but I get that later on, which is nice. So look, there should have been Master of the Forge in this deck. I didn't put it in there. You can see on the list. Probably should have put a Master of the Forge to help me cycle through attachments that I need. However, it's not a bad deck. Killy and Philly is the main piece of this deck that makes it work, right? To get some extra out, than using things like a very good tail to drive up dwarves coming out. So I don't get actually a really good engine going at all on either deck, but this quest is just so straightforward that we don't need 2 misfiring decks is enough, right? So I play the Pelagor Ship Captain, and I move the resource from Hurlon, because I can't pay anything that round, to the dwarf hand, right? Because it lets me move any resource from a hero I control to any hero. So I decided to put the extra resource into leadership, which lets me play one. I'll play my law to play Legacy of Durin, which means I can exhaust it. And when I play a dwarf character from my hand, which I'm doing now, which is Philly, I have to draw a card. So I draw the card, then I search my deck for, and the responses are at the same time, so I can pick the order here. So I draw the card, I draw Dwalin up, which is Spirit Dwalin, and then now I search for Philly, right? Because that's Killy. Philly says search for your brother Killy in the deck and place him into play, right? Which is nice. Lets me play and at there. So after you play Killy from your hand or Philly from your hand, during the planning phase, search your deck for Philly and put him into play under your control. Then shuffle your deck. So it has to be a planning phase action, which is now. It can't be done like through Shuragond or Sneak Attack or something like that. It has to be played from your hand. Alright, so that's good. That gives us a quick start. And if it's the plus spirit from Dane, means I'm questing for 4 of those 2 dwarves. And I have 5 dwarves on deck now, so I can trigger Thorin and Ori's additional card, additional resource, which starts to build the engine, let alone other dwarves I'm going to pull out. So here we're going to deal with this orc. It's not the best thing to have in the staging area. I think I'd rather 2 locations here, but hey, I've got to deal with this here. When that marauding orc attacks and kills someone or kills a character, it adds to the dead villagers. So I don't want to be chump blocking. So I'm going to end up relying on Dane without readiness, right? So Killy and Philly are going to, we're just sussing out the numbers here, right? Killy and Philly, we're going to quest with everything here, and I'll just take the first attack as need be. So I want to make sure that I send Ori, I send Prince Imrahil, I send Herlon the Fair, and allows me to quest quite high to start with, right? So I have 4 in the staging area, I've got 6. I want to be sending a lot, to be honest. I decided to go all in here and just try and flush it out. Because the goal is if I clear these active locations, I gain the villagers on them, right? So if I can push into the quest 1B, I'll be able to retrieve those villagers and put them into rescue villagers, which gives me the buffer I need. As attacks happen, as chains and shadows happen, we'll see them move around a bit. But if you get a nice buffer to start with, you got more room to play. You're not catching up to the scenario. You're not trying to find more, build your pile of alive people higher than the dead people. So I decided to throw it all in here. So I get 3 from Ori, because remember +1, 4 from Thorin, 2 from Killy, which gives me all of a sudden I'm starting adding up, right? So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I should be questing for 13 here, 15, sorry, because I've got Herlon as well. I missed to count it again. This is where I'm used to dragon cards, and you go, oh, cool, this does it for me. Thanks, Aston, for that. But, yes. So, 14. Good, my maths, 15. My maths afterwards is good. So, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's it. The +1s. So, out comes a secluded farmstead with 2 villagers on it. And that secluded farmstead is manageable in comparison. So, it has a travel If I travel, reveal the top card of the encounter deck and add it to staging. It's got 2 villages. It's the worst case. It's not awful to leave there if I don't want to deal with the cards. Orc Rabble comes out and gets +2 attack for each shadow card that's dealt during the phase, right? So that can be annoying. So we quest pretty hard. We do 15 against 9, which makes it 6. We clear out a few villages here, so we end up nibbling 1 off the staging out of the quest, and we take 5 villages. So it's 5 alive to 0 dead. So far, so good. And just reading through the cards, make sure the effect triggers happen. Now, what happens here, I'm going to travel to this location. And what that location does say to us, that location with the Gondorian, if it says, is after a treachery is revealed from the encounter deck, discard 1 village. Now, I haven't got any treacheries from the village yet, so we should be okay. If I do make a mistake in the subsequent round, I think we're plenty. We finish up with well ahead of the thing anyway. So you can see here, I am going to play my shadow cards. Now I step away from dinner and come back. We play our shadow cards here. So the Orc Rabble goes +1, and it's being defended against Boromir. Undefended against Boromir. So that is 2 from the shadow card, +1, plus the 1 extra, makes it 4 out of 5. So really push that one there. Because what I wanted to do is to have the attack from Alcaron back with Boromir to kill it. Right, I want to get rid of that rabble. Here, I'm defending with Dane, so 3 defense against here, which is if the attack kills someone, add dead villager pile, which no one killed anyone here. But after the orc makes an attack that kills someone. So there's no one got killed here, so no dead villagers happen. Therefore, it hits for 4 only. I defend against 3 and take 1 damage. Not too bad all considering, which is good. What I can see here is now I need to start dealing with these orcs. So Boromir will attack with Alcaron for 5, destroy the rabble. That's nice. This is why I don't mind managing some threat there. It could have been nasty, Boromir all over and the game over that turn, but didn't happen that way, which is nice. Alright, so clean up. Remove the cards, swap Alcaron over. Let's do the turns again. So I draw up Durin's Song and Cram, which is nice. I get 2 cards and I get 2 resources, an extra card from Ori, and I get an extra resource from Thorin, which is nice. So I'm going to play Calabrian Stone here now that I have enough money in the bank to do so. Give me +2, which means with Dane being ready, I'm questing for 6, which you can just tell how juicy that is, right? Let alone having a cram on him or something like that. I am going to play the Erebor Record Keeper. Now, Erebor Record Keeper has 1 spirit, cannot quest, attack or defend, it can only quest. However, if I spend a lore resource, I can ready a dwarf character. Chef's kiss there, because that becomes handy. Then I have Crams. Crams is a 0 cost attached to a character to ready that hero. Right, Cram's nice. So I'm thinking of cramming Lembas in my mouth, right, getting ready to go. Which gives me all of a sudden a little bit there. I can draw a card too from playing Erebor Record Keeper, and it lets me drop the card. Which gives me, card control, which is nice. A bit of engine going. So play more dwarves, get more things. Now I play Lord of Morthrend here. I've got not much to do in this hand. Like I don't have a lot on me, and so Lord of Morthrend's there. I have another Pelago ship, right? I can't afford to play 2 Hunters of Lamdon, even though I try to and go, oh, hang on, only Herlon can pay for this. Not happening. No way, Pandem. Put that back, right? And so now I play another Pelagor ship captain. Purely to give me, I get questing and attack. So this gives me a bit more control over what's going on there and a bit of niceness around being able to chump or attack, right? So this gives me a little bit of a breather on that side. The goal here is to keep the non-important orcs away from the dwarves. The dwarves can swarm. Gondor and Outlands is running distraction. Outlands also takes a couple of rounds to get running. Outlands as a slow build to a strong finish if you can protect your allies. At this stage, I want my dwarves hitting hard, going fast. This should be a 3-round, 4-round scenario at most. Best I've done it is 2. The worst I've done it is 8. Right. So we want to quest pretty hard. And we're going to quest hard here. You can see Ori, Erebor, Thorin. If I throw down, I'm throwing down Boromir and Imrahil and Pelagir Ship Captain here, or one of them, leaving one to be a chump blocker or a defender. You can see very quickly how high your questing can go in the second round, right? That +1 from Dane, the Calabrian Stone on Thorin, all of a sudden goes from questing from like maybe 10, 8, 9, 10 sort of thing, to questing 15, 16, 20 regularly, which makes scenarios a little bit easier. So I drop a Rabble, so it's +2, so it's 5, and then I draw a Panicked here. Now this is a treachery that I should have removed on the one of the 3 that's on the Gondorian Hamlet, the one that's in the active location. So Panicked, what Panicked does for us here is, this is where I'm weighing up here the rule in my head. To read Panic out, Panic says, each player must take a village token from rescued villages and place it on a location in the staging area. So if there's no location in the staging area, this card gains Surge. Now what was going through my head, and I'm sure the watchers behind me will say, is can I put more villages onto a location than the village's X keyword on the location? Now, looking through the rules, looking through various pieces, I've said yes. So it increases. So that means they're the one in the staging area. It goes from villages 2 to villages 4, 2 plus 2, right? 1 from each player, which means we drop 2 in the rescued villages, and then we go from there. Now, I should have reduced that number by 1 in what I got off the active location, because that resulted in me getting a treachery out. So that's okay. So it should be 1 less than what it is now. So here we need to put Gulat into the active location, into the staging area, and we are going to protect the villages. Now we need to make sure that these villages are protected, and we need to now finish the quest. We need a quest for 15. Any undefended attack removes X villages rescued and they become dead. Right, so what it says here is that the villages that we are protecting, if it goes undefended, discard X tokens from the rescued villages. Instead of damaging a hero, X is the amount of damage that would have been dealt. So we want to make sure that we take these on our heroes and we don't chump block. So Gulat is going to join against the Dwarf staging, or the Dwarf's game area, and the Orc Rabble is going across to the Gondor player. What we need to do here is take care of this rather quickly. So what we want to do here is draw up our shadow cards for our attacks. So first player on Gulat, then the Marauding Orc, then on the Rabble. So the Rabble's going to hit, it's +2 for each shadow card. They're going to increase the dead village's token by 1. I'm going to defend that against. So X is, the damage he does there. Now I already Dane up again with Cram and defend a second time. So essentially I thought about, do I chump block with Killy? Look, even if I have 9 against that one up there, I'm still 9 versus 1. Like, I'm okay with that. It's not 10, remember. But you know what? I'll take it on Dane. The most this person will do is 5, 6 damage, and I can take up to 8 or 7. Sorry. So I take there. I'm gonna guess, I take the risk. It's gonna be a +1 or nothing. So hopefully it hits me for 5. I mean, take it 2 damage. Right. We'll see where we go. I'm in and ahhing about what I do here. A little bit of hesitation, and look, it's a +1. And look, it didn't kill anyone, so there's nothing against there. So it ends up being 2 damage, which is not too bad. Now Dane's exhausted completely. I thought about playing my song there, but I thought, you know what, no, it's fine. I didn't negate that. I should have played my song at the start of that phase, but I didn't. Cool, gets another shadow card. Cool. And if he's take damage as a character, discard it. We add it to the area, so we discard that there. Alcaron, I can exhaust here if I wanted to remove it, but I decided to remove these. So the 1 extra damage Reduce the rescue villagers by one. So one of them gets killed. That's fine. And we go from there. So it's not too bad of a scenario. It's not as super punishing as I thought it would be. It seems scarier than it actually is. So it's not too bad. Because what it says here, yeah, if this attack destroys a character, discard one villager token from rescued villagers. So it doesn't change dead villagers, it just discards one from it. So here I have a couple of allies that can attack. And so Alcaron can do 2 damage if I wanted to. Killy can do 2 damage. But what I do is I play that round through with and play it around as it is. Like I get a bit ahead of myself, I think, here. That's okay. So ready up there, I draw my second card from the hind, so I get another Killy, which means I can play Killy again and do another Filly, so I can be a bit more aggressive with them. Vision and leadership's nice on the right there. Now we're going to start ramping up because we need to get rid of Gulat and we need a quest for 15, and then we're done. This should be straightforward. At this stage, I really need Narvik's Belt, right? So I play Daemon's Ruins, drop 2 cards, I get rid of my extra one from my hand there. And I play Cram on the other hero, down the bottom right there, and my other Cram against Dane again. So that gives me all of a sudden an extra amount of readiness and ready actions, which is good. I am saving Strength in Arms to ready each ally in play this turn. So my left-hand side says, if I want to defeat Gulat, or at least defend the attacks, I want all my allies to be able to quest here and quest hard. Once they have quested hard and we get the 15 progress, we will be able to, what's the word for it? Worry about their enemies. So it might take 2 or 3 more rounds, but we've quested and done, which means I can quest for the minimum, not increase my threat, then go after Gulat. Alright, so we're questing for, again, 17, without really, it's big, but it's alright. So I join here Burnt Homestead. It surges when raise each player by the number of damage tokens on dead villagers. There's only 1, so increasing our threat by 1's not too bad. Cop another Orc Rabble, which they're a pain, to be honest. We get Trapped Inside, which is Doom 2, discard village token from active location. If there's an active location, do it again. So I do that again. No active location, get a second Trapped Inside, which means I'm going Doomed 4 into an Orc Arsonist, which is not too bad. But Orc Arsonist will draw shadow cards out of my deck. And so we put up before 37 threat, not awful. Again, threat's not an issue here because we're not trying to stay underneath it. But it can see if you're trying to bring like a secrecy deck or something small, you may have challenges of bursting above the secrecy limit or above the engagement limit. So you can see here I've got 8 in the staging area. I'm questing for 18, so it's 10 progress. So I get 10 onto 2B, which is nice. I need to do a quest for another 5 after Gulat's gone, right? Or quest for another 5 while he's out, and then worry about him. So I'll work on damaging here. I need to think about how I'm going to take some of these attacks. And that's the biggest piece there. So I draw up a card to travel to this active location here, and I need to deal with that there. Now, looking at that there, it's not too bad. If this was Gondor in a hamlet, I would have lost a number of villages for the treachery cards pulled out before, but that's nice. So I've got 4 there to gain, to increase my number, which is I'm sitting on 8. So 8 versus 1. I think the most that the dead villagers get to in this scenario is, spoiler alert, 3 or 4. So we're okay. All right, so we will optionally engage or just take on that left side of the rabble and the arsonists here. And this is where I realise it's quite late at night and I should probably go to bed soon. So this is a split play session. So you'll see the colour change very drastically to daytime very soon. I'm just weighing through now what I'm going to deal with here. On the left-hand side, I have Boromir, Pelagi Captain, which I'm going to need to use carefully, and Hurl on the Fair to defend attacks, right? I don't have a lot here. I am playing ready all allies in play, right? And so I do that at the start of the combat phase. I wonder if I could do it at a different time, but I'd play it now. So play if all of your characters are leadership, which they are, and I spend the 2 points here to play it, which will ready up Killy, Philly, Erebor, Record Keeper, which is nice. I'm going to also use Ori and Law to ready up my Dwarf Hero, which is nice. So we go 1, 2. I should have spent that. I keep Boromir's +1 attack for whatever reason. Again, I always get mixed up. Gondor allies get 1+ from Boromir, not all Gondor characters, right? Anywho, Killy and Philly are ready. Erebor Record Keeper's ready. And Erebor Record Keeper can't defend, right? But he can be exhausted to ready and pay a resource to ready a dwarf character, right? Which is a hero or ally, which is super. So I increase it here. Now, next play session, I knocked around my table a bit. So the Dead Villagers is on 2. You'll see a call out overlay that for the period of time that it should be on 2. The Arsonist will draw out additional shadow cards for that player. So Orc Rabble and Arsonist get an extra shadow card. Then I will deal shadow cards as normal, which thins my deck quite quickly. This is a very thin encounter scenario deck, so you'll find that there's a number of times you potentially could go through this deck. All right, so Pelagear Ship Captain's going to take one of these attacks, which is good to see here. So we'll Pelagear Ship Captain. Defense. Imrahil is exhausted from the previous phase. Imrahil, there goes Pelagear Ship Captain. So you can see what I'm doing. Pelagear Ship Captain goes, that readies up Imrahil. Cool. All right, there. So he's exhausted now to defend this one. Imrahil's going to take this defense, right, against this one here. And it attacks for 3, I defend 2, which is nice. Which means I take 1 damage, which is not too bad. Considering he readies up when a character leaves play, it's not too bad at all. It's nice to not worry about being restricted, given there's literally no Outlands allies out, right? And if I look back on further, I didn't have a damage before, hence why I didn't put the damage token on. I think I've had my little ones in the play area, but that's okay. So now we deal the other side. Now this is where it's getting tricky because I need to. I'm concerned about my current play hand, my current environment, and what I've got to use. Let's defend this with Dane. I think this is the right move to do here because if we don't defend it with him, well, we know that Gullet's going to attack with 2, right? And when he attacks, that's fine. What happens here is that these 2 damages, he attacks, I've already turned it over. He'll attack a second time, increase it by 1, right? And I can deal with that. I can defend 3, so I'm going to get a surge here. It's fine, right? And so what we're going to do here is, look at that spray paint on my hands. What a feral I am. Defend it with Dane. Defending at Dane's important because Dane, I should have readied him up afterwards to get all the buffs, but hey, it's okay. It doesn't change the outcome of the game. So we'll do that there. So dealing with that's where I realized, hang on, he shouldn't be on 3, he should be on 2. And that means that then token will go away very shortly. And so it's on 2 right now. So that means Gullet's going to attack us for 2. I can defend it with 3, even with a +1 or drawing out a shadow card. I'll be fine there, which is good. So that being on 2 now, we'll reveal that there and defend with Dane. I weigh up do I take the hits on Killy or Philly? Dane it is. Away we go. Look at that. If it kills a character, increase it by 1. Right, so we're doing well. And then we'll do the next one against here. Now, I would have, in hindsight, potentially done it against Dane again, had I realised the cram was accidentally taken off. Whatever, neither here nor there. I've got a pretty commanding state of this board, even though there's 4 enemies out. So Boromir and Hurlin the Fair are going to attack and destroy that rabble there, which gets rid of them, exhausts them. Got to be a bit more liberal on these exhaust tokens. Away we go. Now I could have had Dane up here and a hit for 4 and done a bit more damage and actually would have killed the marauding orc. But me, being me, I didn't quite do it. It would have. So technically, I could discard the cram there, readied up Dane, Killian Philly attacked, killed that marauding orc. Would have made the whole next turn a bit easier. But that's okay. So draw my 2 cards up, pull my 2 resources on, and then do the normal refresh. Get a Gandalf, which is nice. And away we go. So that Gandalf I can't pay for this turn, but I can pay for next turn. So he does 4 damage to a target. If I can get 3 damage onto Galat this turn, and quest for enough to pass it, I can, in the planning phase of the next round, win this scenario. That's how I plan to do it. That's how I try to beat. I want to beat the scenario. So let's see what we got here. So Navi's belt is drawn up, which is nice. Navi's belt allows me to deal with having different colours in my hand. So I can now pay for Erebor Battle Master, right? And that's really handy. So playing those dwarves out, being able to tap Legacy of Durin to draw a card, drawing 2 cards up, all of these things are wonderful to help me with my card draw, because otherwise I'm going to struggle getting things out. So I'll play it, it's down. Now I can specify a sphere and spend the money from Thorin, who's getting 2 around, on these alternate sphere cards, which makes it good to play the Battle Master, to play Dwalin, the rest of it. So here I'm going to exhaust the Record Keeper and Killy. Now you normally can exhaust Killy and Philly and guarantee to get like a number of dwarves out, especially cheap ones. But I'm going to exhaust this here for 4. I'm taking anything, so like I'm looking for any Ori. There's Gloin. There's a number of dwarves in this deck. I want something. Okay, look at that. I have Gloin and I have Dory. So there's Bomba, there's others, right? I can pull out. The goal here is to play Gloin from my hand. I get a quest. My thought is let's quest hard, right? So he gets 2+1. So he'll be questing for 3 versus Dory doing questing for 2 in total, 1+1. And I'm not looking to undefended attacks, right? So at this stage, I feel like questing is good. If I can get the 5 onto 2B, that means the questing element of this quest is done. Play the Gandalf on the left-hand side next turn and win the scenario. So let's see what we can do there. All right. So it comes down to just surviving this turn and doing damage, right? So let's go there. I have a very good tail, but I'm not going to play it. But we'll see how that goes there. So let's do that there. We'll play Imrahil and Gloin. We're going to quest with Thorin. We'll quest with Ori as well. And we quest for quite a large number. This is the power of the dwarf decks. Look at that, 13 from a couple of characters against 1 in the staging area. I am going to use my Durin's Song here on Thorin to increase the questing by 2. And then quest is quest, attack, and defense for the entire phase. I'm actually on Ori, to do it, because I want to see what I mix it up right, and also you can see it on the camera. It doesn't change the outcome at all, which is nice. Alright, so +2 there. We zoom through it really quickly. So it's +1, so it's 2 in total, 4 more villages. And at the end of the round, we reduce the villages on the farmhouse, which I mean, oh, hang on, it's burning farmhouse. Maybe the first one in the staging area needs to be reduced. So 5 against 15, which is 10. So that does the easy through there. We gain 4. No worries. So we're sitting pretty with the number there. So let's say I did 1 or 2 incorrectly. That's where I realized that one of them should have been 3. It should have been actually the first one, to be technical. It doesn't matter. And I adjust my numbers accordingly. Cool. So village died. That's fine. 3. Increase up to 3 there. Even if my 13 on rescued is 12 or 11, I am clear by days. So now let's talk about battling. Now we're getting to the end of the deck, which is really nice. And getting quite low the end of the encounter deck means if I draw lots of enemies, the number of shadows decreases, right? So you can see here, I'm going to bring out my Orc Arsonists. And dealing with the Orc Arsonist, now here, I should have dealt... It says here, when an Orc Arsonist engaged, the player deal one shadow card, right? So, Orc Arsonist shadow card. Cool. And then we go to the second player and deal the last one here. We're out of cards. So, away we go. This gives us a bit of a reprieve and a more deterministic shadow round. Here with Dane, 3, he has 1 extra. He's gonna hit for 4, which as long as we don't flip over something spicy, Dane's alive. Even if he dies, we've got him on this turn. So what is it we get here for plus that card shadow effect? We'll do enemy attacks for +1, and that will see us. So Gulat has killed Dane here. That's fine. We will block the next attack with Philly. So the Marauder does 4 damage. That kills him. We increase the dead villagers, and I manually overlay decrease the Battle Master to 3. So he does 4 damage still with 1 from the dwarf. So we get a total of 5 going in. So there's 3 allies in play still, so there's a 3 counter. This means he's attacking for 4 plus the 2 from what's his name? But before I do that, I should resolve my other hand first. I get too focused on the objectives. So Imrahil is going to defend against the Orc Arsonist here. And cool, we'd hit for 4, defending 2, so only 2 go through, which puts it 3 out of 4. Risky situation here. We can see very quickly how decks can crumble, or we get too confident with the scenario. And okay, there we go there. It's not too bad. So defending there, hitting for 3, taking 1, so 2 damage goes on to Hurl on the Fair. Okay, could be worse, but my hubris is pretty high. 3 damage into 2 will do 1 damage to the Arsonist from Boromir. It's not too bad. Now we've got 1 more round. We know we can pay for Gandalf next round. So let's do it, and we'll see how we go from here. Alright, so let's tidy this end of the game up. So we can play for Gandalf now with his hand, which will allow us to do 4 damage onto Gulat. Now, resolving the battle from the previous hand there, the 5 against 3 defense, so 1 from Killy and the 4 from the Erebor, means actually Gulat's on 2 damage, not 3, which means Gandalf is going to do 4 damage, put him on 6 out of 7, and we're going to have to quest 1 more time through. So out come my 2 cards. I can play these 2 cards. I have to draw a card here by triggering the Legacy of Durin, which will allow me to play an additional Philly, which is nice. I'm not sure. We don't have to trigger another Killy to come out, because what we'll do is it would replace the same Killy if there was something about like a ally leaving the board. Maybe that would trigger Imrahil, but it doesn't matter at this stage of the game. At this phase especially. Alright, so Veteran Axe Hand's going out. I'm naming with Navi's belt tactics. I'm going to try my hand here, Good Tale. Now, previously in a Good Tale, you are meant to play Good Tale, exhaust 2 characters, then shuffle your deck, then draw the cards. So shuffle the deck, and I put exhaustion onto Killy and Philly, or damage onto it. And I realized that it should be onto that there, and I'm actually going to adjust them accordingly. It doesn't matter on this one here. I've realized I put the on the wrong ones. That's okay. So put them back on there. Let's do this. This is going to be, we know here all I wanted was to get this done real quickly. So let's get it done. 1 more turn. This is it. Let's go. All right. So now we're going to play through the scenario. I'm going to get the quest phase done. Gandalf's going to come out and do his 4 damage, which is easy done. Gandalf comes out. Spend the money. Do the 4 damage. Nothing else can do it there. So let's place it down on Glut. He's 6 out of 7. We just need to survive. So essentially, I will not quest with Gandalf here because I want him to take an attack. I'll sacrifice one of the heroes on the second arsonist attack. Hope nothing comes out of the staging area. I can have an entire left-hand side crumble here, and that's fine. Even with threat against my characters should be fine. I will still proceed because I should be able to clear some more progress. All I need to do is survive all the attacks and do 4 damage to go up to win. So it's gone from a commanding board state to a very crippled board state. Very limited in its ability. So I'm going to quest for Thorin. Hindsight, maybe you should have quested with Ori, but again, it doesn't matter. We're not getting pluses here, getting 5. Yeah, getting a lot less. But anyway, we reveal a Hamlet, which is nice. And a scorched farmhouse, which means the threat's manageable. It becomes a 6 against our 9. We're okay here. We're going to do very well. It's actually 6 against 7 because of the arsonists. However, I should have sent the record keepers. Makes it 9. That's fine here. So you can see that. I'd also realised how clear my watch is in this presentation. You can see the different times of day I play. All right, so we just the numbers there. So we can see here that I'm meant to have reduced Burning Farmhouse 2 off there, and I had 2 onto the Dead Villagers. So I discarded 2 at the end of the round previously. Again, that gap's closing, so it's 7 versus 13. Do my shadow cards. Gandalf defends 1 attack. Gandalf's fine. Doesn't matter anyway, but he's exhausted. The next attack will be against, well, it doesn't matter, Boromir, Hurl on the Fair. I'll do Hurl on the Fair. So at least Boromir can bite back. That kills Hurl on the Fair. So it's +1 damage. So it's 4, negating 1 there. If I had full health, it would have been fine. I don't have full health. So he dies. That's okay. You can see how quickly decks crumble. That Outland deck did not fire this game at all. I needed lower cost allies and card draw. I had a lot of 2-cost allies, which was tricky. And I played at Gandalf, right? So it's expensive. All right, defending with Gloin here. It's going to paste him here. So it increases 1 on Dead Villagers too when he attacks, which means it goes to 8. No worries. And then when the Marauding Orc attacks and kills the character, it removes 1 from Rescued Villagers. Or sorry, it places 1 damage token on Dead Villagers, so it goes to 9. Look, so it's not an awful result. I could have done much better. I've played through this scenario 3 times offline, and it was 3 or 4 rounds. This is the most tedious result I had, which again, it happens, right, on the camera especially. So let's defend this one here with Ori. Adjust the Erebor Battlemaster's token here to... Oh no, Veteran Axe Handed to defend it with, that's right. And then I can use Ori to attack. So that will pace him there. That adjusts essentially when I discard there we go there. So it's 9 to 12, bit closer now. And now I attack with Erebor Battlemaster and Ori. So I'm attacking here for 5, 6, 7. And you can see Ori's doing 2, Battlemaster's doing 5. That's 7 up, straight up. That's enough there, let alone Ori. And it's against 3, so that goes through, and that is the win. There you go. So you can see there that looked strong rounds 2 and 3, but I got a few unlucky hits against certain heroes, and they went down. This is a really good example of how the game can punish certain deck styles, but also how the game can punish lazy playing. I played lazily this week, thinking the scenario was easy, and it is easy. I just played rushing through it, and as a result, you saw what happened. Anyway, that's a counter of Amon Din. Great quest to test things out on, to play through, to get comfortable with the game mechanics. It is also a great scenario for those introducing people to, beyond the passages of Merkel to the initial trial scenarios. Enjoy, have fun, see you next week as we return to another community favorite scenario. See you soon.